All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the world of greyhound racing using some really fascinating material from the Our Casino Combat podcast. We're going to dig into the claims about what's really going on behind the scenes, way beyond the roar of the crowd.
And wow, we're kicking things off with a real bombshell here. This single line from the source material just throws a grenade at every assumption you might have about the sport. It's basically saying that pedigree, training, all that stuff you look for, it doesn't matter. So, if it's not the bloodline, then what in the world is it? Well, that question leads us right here. The central argument we're about to unpack is that greyhound racing is less about which dog is the fastest and way more about it being a kind of chemistry experiment, all played out for profit. This is supposedly where the race is truly decided. To really get what they're saying, we've got to talk about a core concept from the source material. It's a strategy they call the chemical rabbit. And the claim is it's what controls the race, not with speed, but with, well, science. Okay, so this is where everything gets flipped on its head. See, the average person, the average bettor, is trying to pick the winner. But according to this strategy, the insiders, the house, the syndicates, they have a totally different playbook. They don't need to find a diamond in the rough to win. They just need the one dog everyone thinks is a sure thing to lose. Why? Because that, according to the source, is where the real money is. So, how in the world would they make the expected dog lose? Well, let's dive into what the source material calls the most sophisticated trick in their playbook. It's not about making a long shot faster, it's about making a champion slower. This is what they call the stop dog protocol. And this just lays out the two different mindsets perfectly. On the left, you've got what's presented as the amateur move, juicing a dog up with stimulants. It's risky, it's obvious, and frankly, the payouts aren't that great. But on the right, that's the professional's play, allegedly, slowing a dog down. It's subtle. To everyone watching, it just looks like the dog is having a bad day. But that's exactly what causes the payouts for those complicated exotic bets like trifectas to absolutely explode.
So, how does this whole protocol supposedly go down? Let's walk through it. Step 1. A syndicate spots a heavy, clear favorite. Step 2. That dog is secretly given a stopper, something like pentobarbital. Step 3, the race starts, the favorite looks sluggish, stumbles out of the gate, just completely underperforms. And finally, step 4, with that sure thing out of the way, those exotic bets pay out massive, life-changing sums to the few tickets that just so happen to leave that favorite out, the connected tickets. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, that's one dirty trick. But the source material argues this isn't some isolated thing. We're talking about a global issue, a worldwide playbook for what it calls chemical warfare on the track. And just take a look at this snapshot of the evidence they present. Over in West Virginia, you've got alleged violations for stuff like cocaine, Ritalin, even steroids. And then you jump over to Australia, and dogs are reportedly testing positive for EPO. Yeah, that's the same performance-enhancing drug that rocked the pro cycling world. The takeaway from the source is pretty clear. The needle follows the money, wherever it goes. Let's just pause on that West Virginia tactic for a second because, wow, the source calls this the most cynical tool in the whole shed, using steroids to shut down a female dog's natural heat cycle. Why? So she never has downtime. She can race and race and race. It's presented as the ultimate manipulation of biology to treat a living creature like a nonstop 24/7 revenue-generating machine. So all of this raises a giant question, right? How could a system like this possibly happen right out in the open, in plain sight? Well, that brings us to an environmental factor the source calls the sensory fog. It all starts with this number right here, just 15 to 20 minutes. That's it. That's all the time you get between races. The source calls this high-velocity churn, a relentless nonstop pace that's almost designed to overwhelm you. And the results of that churn are laid out right here. That pace is exhausting. It gives the average person absolutely no time to think, to properly analyze what's going on. And that confusion, that's what the insiders supposedly bank on. But these last 2 points, this is the real kicker. While you, the bettor, are scrambling and chasing the race form, the syndicate is just monitoring the swab, the drug test. The implication is, if the blood is dirty, the outcome is already a done deal. So when you put all these claims together, the core strategy, the global tactics, and this environment that supposedly enables it all, we arrive at the source material's final and pretty damning verdict. This quote really says it all, doesn't it? It suggests that the public race you see on the track, that's just a performance. It's a distraction. The real competition, The one that actually decides who wins and loses has already happened in private, with a needle. And that leads us right to the ultimate conclusion from this source, that the sport is presented not as a game of chance, but as a carefully managed system of biological manipulation. And the ultimate goal? To separate the public from their money in a very predictable, very controlled way. And so we'll leave you with the question that's really at the heart of everything we've just looked at. If the outcome is decided by chemistry long before the dogs even reach the starting box, then what exactly is that form guide we all study so carefully? Is it a tool for analysis, or is it simply a work of fiction? That wraps up this deep dive. This content was provided compliments of our Casino Combat podcast. Copyright 2025, Volcanic Dingo LLC. All rights reserved. And a final reminder, this is for entertainment purposes only. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.